2431 County Road C, Americus, Kansas is where Leffler Farms was established in 1941 by Louis Leffler and Mildred Gibson. They then had their one and only son, Wayne Jackie Leffler, who then married Mary Eldred. The two of them then had 4 children and brought upon the 3rd generation of Leffler Farms: Tom Leffler, Peggy Anderjaski, William Leffler, and Margie Combs. Currently residing on the farm are my parents, Bill and Cynthia Leffler. They then had the 4th generation: myself, Jacquelyne Leffler, and my younger sister, Natalie Leffler. The Fruitland Rural Grade School was located where the Fruitland Cemetery currently is. The school was known not only for educational purposes, but also for community dances and an ice cream social that was held every year in the 1940s. It is also where my grandpa Jackie Leffler attended grade school. The school closed in 1946. As you can see in this video, the Leffler family donated additional ground to the Fruitland Cemetery, which is where the Leffler family graves are. The bench that you now see was made in loving memory of my cousin Corey Leffler, who passed away on our farm in 2009. Louis William Leffler is the son of William Franklin and Margaret Leffler. L.W. was born June 12, 1897 in Council Grove, Kansas. Mildred Elizabeth Gibson is the daughter of John and Elizabeth Copperweight Gibson. Mildred was born April 9, 1910 in Bushong, Kansas. She graduated from Bushong High School and attended the Emporia Business School. They married on June 12, 1930 and moved to Heimer, Kansas. In 1932, they then moved to Clover Cliff Ranch in Elmdale, Kansas and had one son, Wayne Leffler. In 1941, they bought the farm we currently live on in the Fruitland community. The original farmstead had approximately 130 acres. Mildred has always raised chickens, grew a large garden, and did a lot of canning. She was kept busy during the farming season by running errands, helping the farm crew move between fields, preparing large meals for the crews at noon, and driving a feed truck from bank to bank to save time during cattle feeding. L.W. served on the Americus Township Committee, Fruitland School Education Board, the Kansas Livestock Association, and Farm Bureau. Mildred was a member of the Americus United Methodist Church, the Fruitland Willing Helper Club, and she was also a member of the Americus Order of the Eastern Star, Chapter 315, receiving a 75-year award from the Grand Chapter of the Kansas Order of the Eastern Star in 2009. In 2010, she received the Holiday Queen Award from the Care Center. L.W. passed away June 12, 1984. Mildred passed away November 9, 2012. Wayne Eugene Leffler, also known as Jacquelyne and Natalie's grandpa, was born in 1931 in Bushong, Kansas. Mary Elizabeth Eldred, also known as our grandma, was born in 1934 in Dunlap, Kansas. When Grandpa was in high school during coon season, he said he remembers his weekends consisting of fixing and repairing fences that the cattle had broken through due to coon hunters. In 1941, Grandpa and his parents bought and moved to the current homestead from the Clover Cliff Ranch in Elmdale, Kansas. It was very common back then, on March 1st, that families would rotate farms, and this just happened to be the one that our family would stay on and continue to make a life on, even until this current day. They married on October 24th in 1954 and moved to the homestead. They had 4 children, Thomas Eugene, Peggy Sue, William Irvin, and Margie Ann. They recalled that when Tom was born in 1956, there was a major drought, and Grandpa commented and said he was the only thing they raised that year. In 1958, when Peggy Sue was born, they had to stay in Emporia because of the flood. When Bill Leffler, my dad, was born, he came home with the grader as his escort because the major snowstorm had just hit. In 1948, the Fruitland community where they live received electricity for the first time. In 1951, there was a major flood and ended the farm's ability to raise hogs. This is when the farm went to just chickens and cattle. The farm started the commercial cow herd in 1956, and it was mainly Herefords, as opposed to now, as the farm typically has only Angus cattle. In 1956, the Leffler family bought their first television. In 1966, the addition to the feedlot was made with the construction of the elevator. This was also the same year the old farm shop was built on the homestead as well. Since then, many other buildings have been built to accommodate the growing corporation, including the new shop, which was rebuilt 3 times due to severe wind damage. Soon after, Leffler Farms Inc. became one of the first farms to become incorporated in the state of Kansas for Subchapter S. Both Grandpa and Grandma have been very active, serving on many different boards within the community and on the state level. These include the Kansas Livestock Association, the Cattlewomen Association, Farm Bureau, the United Methodist Church, Relay for Life, school board members, RC&D, and Grandpa served on the county commission for 4 terms, from 1984 to 2001. They also served on many tax committees as well. If you ask anyone in Lyon County who makes the best cinnamon rolls around, your answer is most likely going to be our grandma, Mary Leffler. She is known for her special cinnamon rolls, which she makes by the dozen and then typically distributes around the neighborhood. Natalie and I have always enjoyed getting to spend the day baking with one of the best bakers in the entire neighborhood. Over the years, Grandma and Grandpa have become Natalie and I's biggest fans. Whether it's at a sporting event, a band concert, an essay contest, or watching us show our steers at the local 4-H shows at the Lyon County Fair, they're always there to support us, encourage us, and remind us that as a family we can accomplish anything that we set our hearts to. They've instilled values, morals, and ethics that have shaped Natalie and I into who we are today. By doing so, they did the same for my dad, and it's my hope that my sister and I can do the same for our families in the future, that Leffler Farms will always continue to influence the generations to come and make the same impact that was made on us and has shaped us into who we are today.
Hello, I am Bill Leffler, and I was born and raised on a 4-generation farm and ranch along with my 3 siblings, Tom, Peggy, and Margie. My grandparents and parents started the farm and ranch when they first moved to this area. I married Cindy January 30th, 1988. We built a new home to move into when we started our lives together. We have 2 daughters, Jacquelyne and Natalie. I was born and raised on our farm and ranch. I grew up trying to learn everything and anything about ag that I possibly could. My family believed being involved in many ag groups such as National Cattle Beef Association, Kansas Livestock Association, Farm Bureau, and other groups. But we also was well-rounded. We also believed in being involved in many non-related groups as school board, regional development associations, and county commission, and other activities. Then on the sideline, we entered different beef contests with through Bee Fest, where we can enter our own cattle and they judge them, and most years we come out in the top percentile of doing the contest. I went to VOAG and did all the usual things in VOAG, beef judging, meat judging, and welding and all that stuff. But then I also pursued the officers training and was vice president of our chapter. And then that led into after high school of young farmers and ranchers. And I went through all the stuff there and made it to being president of the state. My wife Cindy and I joined Young Farmers and Ranchers later on in our lives, and I was vice chairman of that group. As the kids got older, we kept some of our ag activities, but then we started into the sporting activities. Both the girls were very active in sports and with other ag related activities such as 4-H. I would help them pick out their steers and pigs and stuff like that and get them broke and ready for the show, while Cindy at times would go down when the steers were eating, reach through and grab their halter and tie them to the fence so they could pet and brush them and stuff until I got home to help. And Cindy took them into the house then and taught them about cooking, and they entered contest in cooking, but I think the steers kind of won out in the end and they enjoyed it the most. We believe in promoting our industry by letting the newspaper and magazines come and do interviews of us. We talk about our farm and ranch, show them what the weather can do to us and what we do. We also try to let them know how Mother Nature affects us from time to time. We let them see the good and the bad side of what Mother Nature does to us, whether it's on the farm with the cattle or just our families. And we like to throw our business card motto out because that's what we kind of strive towards, and that is where farming is a profession. We enjoy our family and friends and community. We do this by hosting a testicle festival and other various potluck gatherings during the year at our farm shop. Our shop has served as a community gathering place for neighbors and our loved ones in the neighborhood. It also has been a great place for our kids to hang out in. They play basketball, air hockey, ping pong, and have sleepovers and watch movies there. It's one of our fun family ag activities is our local Beef Fest. It started a little bit over 25 years ago, and we was probably just one of 100 people that went to it. It started out real small. Today, the activities take in 3 days, and probably over 1,000 people come for the awards and supper banquet. We enjoy it as a family because we enter some of our own cattle into the contest. They're judged by their finish off grass. Then they go to the feedlot and they're judged again by their finish. And we've received some awards every year. The girls, at times, they've got belt buckles and cash awards. And it's just one of them things it's connected to our livelihood, so we just feel like it's an important feature to keep going on.
From the time that we were 7, Natalie and I entered the world of 4-H. It grew into a part of us that has formed us into the people that we are. And growing up on a farm has only made it better, because we not only got to compete in numerous pedal tractor pulls, but we also got to show bucket calves, steers, and even pigs at one point. It taught us not only the importance, but the value of taking care of something other than ourselves. It was a family affair all the time. Our grandparents were there watching us, our parents were there supporting us, but most of all, they were always there to pick us up every time we got drugged by our steers. It was always something we did as a family. We helped each other clean each other's stalls. We helped each other wash the animals. There were days when we'd get on each other's nerves, but most of the time, they were the greatest days on earth. I think Natalie and I cherish those moments, but most of all, we value the family input that was always there. Growing up having all four generations alive on our farm was just phenomenal. Everyone played a special part in our lives. But everyone just didn't know who we were individually, but they knew who we were as a family. We identified as the Leffler clan. And because of that, I have the utmost respect for the generations that came before my sister and I. And we are just fortunate enough that we get to contribute to the Leffler family name and continue on the traditions that our family has established. And for our family, that main tradition has been 4-H. Every farm kid knows that there is never a day off on the farm. But when you find a little time to have some fun, you know you better take the chance while you have it. Because when harvest comes, you don't have too much time to spend with both your parents on the same day. A typical Sunday consists of my family sitting on the deck shooting guns. Some of my other favorite afternoons have been spent on one of the dams on our properties. Whether we are shooting guns or just spending time in God's creation, we always leave with many fantastic memories. Over the years, I have been privileged enough to go hunting with various neighbors in the Fruitland community. Spending the day in our hunting blinds, waiting for the game to come in, and hoping you come home with something to show off is one of the greatest feelings in the world. Spending the day riding four-wheelers on the Flint Hills Nature Trail that conjoins with our Bushong pasture was one of my favorite days of the summer of 2012. Aunt Patty, Uncle Tom, my mom, my dad, and sister and I drove to Council Grove, ate lunch, and then made the journey back. When Natalie and I aren't on the farm or working with our 4-H projects, we ultimately have found ourselves in the gym, playing volleyball or basketball, or in the field doing track. We have both been fortunate enough to have found great success in the sports realm. Our parents have sacrificed and supported us with every dream we have ever had. While our grandparents were our biggest fans, just ask the men at the local coffee shop. They can give you a detailed analysis supplied by our grandpa after our greatest accomplishments. And quite honestly, we both feel as if the life of a farm kid has set us up for great success. We learned the ethics of hard work, morals, integrity, and honesty. All of these values is what contributed to us being not only great athletes, but leaders on and off the playing field at the high school level and me at the Division I level in college. Over the years, man has invented new machines and techniques to increase the amount of variety of crop production. Vehicles, tractors, and other equipment have become much more fuel efficient in the years. The way that the equipment runs has also changed. Now there are semi-trucks that can carry more weight, and there are bigger combines and tractors as well. Something else that's changed is the fertilizer and chemicals used to help the plants grow and survive. The fertilizers have become better in the ways of making a better quality crop, making them grow faster in harsher conditions. For the chemicals, they have made the plants more able to keep away from disease and to keep insects off of them. From years ago to today, the amount of physical labor that farmers have had to do has changed dramatically. Our farm started with horses, then moved to farm-all equipment, and now up-to-date Case IH equipment. Four-wheelers have also replaced the saddle horses that used to be used so frequently. Also, the feed truck has replaced the tractor and loader. which had previously replaced the faithful fork and shovel. From years ago, when farmers had to go and cut the crops and bring them all in by hand, to now, when you can simply just drive a combine up and down the fields, while some of them can even steer themselves by having autopilot. The main reason for all the changes that we have seen over the years is to make the work not only easier for the farmers, but safer and more efficient. Although sometimes on the farm there's still a few oops that happen. We've had a baler burn up, we've had four-wheelers burn up, and we've even had a flatbed pickup burn up over the years. With these machines though, a Kansas farmer can feed 155 people plus himself.
We're always looking for ways to improve our farm and ranch, whether it's remodeling by tearing out the old feed bunks and putting in new concrete ones, making new pipe fences to keep the cattle more confined in their space. There's always something you can always look at doing just to fulfill the needs. We're pouring concrete underneath a loadout bin and going into our main facilities for dumping the semis. Then we got trucks coming in at times hauling our other products while we're getting the ponds ready for making the spillway. We use a dozer quite often in help of cleaning out ponds and making the spillways after the rocks are dumped. The dozer is a very handy piece of equipment we use for many things of pushing trees, cleaning ditches, and just various jobs. We got a paddle scraper that we use on trying to maintain the terraces and stuff with it. My dad loves to do a lot of piddling jobs, hanging gates, just trying to make things easier for him and me in the future. We're trying to install new gates that swings or have wheels on them so we don't have to lift and raise everything. My dad loves doing a lot of the piddling jobs. He'll be welding, grinding, just something to do. He just likes keeping busy. He likes them gates we looked at a little while ago, getting them ready, and whether it's fixing breakdowns, running town for parts, we have all kinds of little neat items in the shop that he loves to work with.
My mom, Natalie, and I find ourselves shuffling equipment from field to field and also mowing with the tractors to save my dad time. We also find ourselves throwing hay in hay competitions at the Beef Fest, and also Natalie finds herself moving around the big trucks for my dad also. It's always fun to see my mom and dad side by side working, with my dad in the combine and my mom pulling the grain cart during harvest time. Leffler Farms Inc. has always had cattle on our farm. The commercial cow herd was started in 1956 and ended in 1999. Before Iowa beef processors, we shipped our cattle to Kansas City and St. Joe stockyard to sell. We've always had cattle to fatten until IBP closed and was taken over by Tyson in Emporia, Kansas.
We buy all of our cattle and sell to buyers that come to the lots. We mainly buy them from order buyers in Nebraska, Missouri, Georgia, and West Virginia. And we usually sell them to buyers that come to the lot that might be going to western Kansas or Nebraska mainly. The cow herd was sold to accommodate the changing times for us on our ranch to meet our needs. We pretty much eliminated all full-time help and just went to my dad and myself doing everything with limited part-time help when it comes time to gather cattle or take them to pasture for summer grazing. They're turned out in the spring for grazing, brought back in, or shipped directly from the pasture into summer or early fall.
Some of my favorite days on the farm have been when my sister, my mom, and I have helped my dad and grandpa move cattle from pasture to pasture into the feedlot and to other places. My not so favorite days have always consisted of shoveling feed bunks in the wintertime.
We raise corn for silage and grain to feed the cattle. In the summer, we may mow brome and native grass to mix with the ration. If it is a dry summer, we'll go ahead and have to put up some corn residue or wheat straw. The only ingredient we purchase is a protein supplement, which comes in a pellet form. We can accommodate all of our feeds on the ranch, and we got holding bins that we can pull the feed truck in and dump, and have scales on the truck so we can measure the quantities exactly what we need to feed. Any extra corn or hay that we don't use for the cattle operation, we sell for cash to local buyers most of the time. We can store everything we feed for 1 year on the ranch, and it's pretty much everything's inside, so it's kept dry when we grind the hay or move the hay from the barn to the tub grinder. And then we pretty much have all of our feed there and just have to truck in the protein at the end of feeding time.
Six lanes, tail lights, red ants marching into the night. They disappear to the left and right again. Another supper from a sack, a 99-cent heart attack. I got a pounding head and an aching back, and the camel's buried in a big straw stack. I'm gonna live where the green grass grows, watching my corn pop up in rows. Every night be tucked in close to you. Raise our kids where the good Lord's blessed, point our rocking chairs towards the west, and plant our dreams where the peaceful river flows, where the green grass grows. I'm from a map dot, a stop sign on a black top. I caught the first bus I could hop from there. But all of this glitter is getting dark. There's concrete growing in the city park. I don't know who my neighbors are, and there's bars on the corners and bars on my heart. But I'm gonna live where the green grass grows, watch my corn pop up in rows. Every night be tucked in close to you. Raise our kids where the good Lord's blessed, point our rocking chairs towards the west, plant our dreams where the peaceful river flows, where the green grass grows. Watch my corn pop up in rows. Every night be tucked in close to you. Raise our kids where the good Lord's blessed, chairs towards the west and plant our dreams where the peaceful river flows. Whoa, where the green grass grows.
Early morning in a motel room, sunshine trying to creep on through. Lost sleep, but I found a tune stuck inside my head. Cigarettes and tank of gas, headed off to nowhere fast. Gotta find a way to make this feeling last. 'Cause I believe that I was born with a song inside of me. Never questioned why. I just kept on chasing that melody. And as time goes by, it's funny how time can make you realize we're running out of beat. On a day that I die, I want to say that I was a man who really lived and never compromised. And when I've lived out my days until the very end, I hope they find me in my home, a guitar in my hands. I hope they find me in my home with my guitar in my hands. Whoa, 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 whoa.
The part I don't to be ashamed of. Good people aren't supposed to be up. I found peace with this path I took as I laid down my head. The crossroads you gotta choose. Which way do we win or lose? And every bone in my soul says I sing on through. And I believe that I was born with a song inside of me. Never question why. I just keep on singing these melodies as time goes by. It's funny how